Good evening, friends and newcomers, everyone listening in, far and wide, from Alaska to New Zealand, Ireland to right here in Rhode Island. Creators and bankers to teachers and gardeners, sailors, thinkers, seekers, and others, welcome to the latest floating poetry broadcast, the 12th in this weekly series, coming to you live from Weekapaug, Rhode Island, by the sea, the deep blue and green and storied sea. This is your poet and poetorialist, Colin Goedecke, tonight inviting you into places of deeper feeling, places we can open to, discover within, that lead to greater connection to self, to wholeness, to more aliveness. I have so much I want to share with you tonight. And apropos of our sound coming in, that was a thunderstorm a couple of nights ago I recorded here. And I thought we'd begin with a poem around the deep feelings of nature itself, of a storm, talk about feelings. So that's the earth feeling, deeply expressing itself. The Gaia. Storm clouds. This was actually written for a friend, painter friend, Adam Van Doren, is painting storm clouds. Suddenly, thunderously, a great artery in the heart of the sky bleeds forth its beauty. Wild, sea-like luminosities of greens, blues, hidden energies, pours forth its humors. Yes, pouring forth our humors, that's part of what our theme is tonight. Deeper feeling, expressing deeper feelings, discovering them, feeling them. One other expression of nature, deep, big, hurricane. This was written for Hurricane Sandy landing on the head of Manhattan back in 2012, October. Atlantic, oceanic, tempestuous, a walloping cocktail, marvelous supervillain, great locomotive, whirlwind boxer, HMS destroyer, a John Ford-worthy melodrama, rock festival, leering bellow, a smoking pipe hard ablow, water spouter, roller coaster, tipping the Beaufort scale, tipping a 500-mile-wide hat over the bent heads of autumn trees and towns, buttoned-down cities, tucked-up citizens, hushing and humbling all. Oh, for those of us who were around then and in the midst of it, I know there was a lot of feeling going on about what that sparked, provoked. I was thinking, around the idea of maybe a quote from, another quote from our lovely John O'Donohue. This is from a book of Celtic wisdom that he wrote, which is incredible to me. It's called Anam Cara, and it's soul friend. It's not soul meat exactly, soul friend is what it's all about. And this would be the deeper feelings of friendship, spiritship, like this. He said, love is ancient recognition. Real friendship or love is not manufactured or achieved by an act of will or intention. Friendship is always an act of recognition. This metaphor can be grounded in the clay nature of the human body. When you find the person you love, an act of ancient recognition brings you together. It is as if millions of years before the silence of nature broke, your lover's clay and your clay lay side by side. Then in the turning of the seasons, your one clay divided and separated. You began to rise as distinct clay forms, each housing a different individuality and destiny. Without even knowing it, your secret memory mourned your loss of each other, while your clay selves wandered for thousands of years through the universe, your longing for each other never faded. This metaphor helps to explain how in the moment of friendship, two souls suddenly recognize each other. There is an awakening between you, a sense of ancient knowing. Love opens the door of ancient recognition. You enter, you come home to each other at last. Thank you, John O'Donohue. So, sort of on that wavelength of anamkaras, there's the feelings that we've had, some of us have had, maybe more than once, or will have, would like to have, around great romance. And this was an anamkara-esque one that I was fortunate to have in my life, and this was written for that anamkara, and it's called You, a River. You and your ever flow, your fresh water, free water, white water way of being, your eddies and channels, bright ice sheets in winter, green currents in summer. You, carrier of secrets, sediments, dark and shining fish, nourisher of nature, smoother of stones, spirits, maker of canyons, deltas, lush, living banks and brooks, source to mouth, krenin rithron potamon, ever seaward, through sunlit valleys, vast plains, deep mountainsides, constant yet never the same twice, moment to moment, mutable yet always the same in your riverness, moment to moment. And what about the deep feelings of heartbreak? So there's heartmake, and what about heartbreak? Very important, I think, as others poets have talked about, including our David White, important to grow and have heartbreaks to help us grow, break into the next places of our beings, deep feeling beings. And I'd heard this word, and it was so apropos at the time, back in November of 2016. And it's a French word, chante-pleur. One word, chante-pleur. To sing and weep simultaneously, as they say en français. As I experience it, embody it, singing a new song, a chanson of self, of next, while I weep for a deep love lost, grieve for what was most remarkable and possible. It was a big growing time. And then around loss, and I actually shared this one of the earlier broadcasts in the series, and I felt it was very apropos of tonight, and loss of all kinds that we might experience, have experienced. It's called A Tree is Falling. A monumental tree in the forest is falling. So colossal, so deeply rooted, so elementally entwined that it will not fall easily or swiftly or quietly. And as it looses from the earth, from the sky, earth first, it will shake and sound through the whole forest, through all the rings and canopies, hard and soft woods, all the places of light and shadow, growth and groundwater, quake and resound through all things winged and footed, flowering, streaming, flourishing here, and when, unmoored, unmasted, it lays at great length to rest among the abundant mosses and ferns, it will be monumentally sad for me to see, to lose, and remember in times to come how glorious a living thing it was. What a high, spiring, spreading hymn of joy it was. It sang without pause in the forest of my heart. Here's another one on that theme of loss and losing, and might speak to you, might take you deeper down to places where we where we want to go. Maybe afraid to go, but good to go, ultimately. Losing the flow. For one who bathed body and spirit in its free-form currents, breathed in its fresh rushings, who lived and fished, loved and dreamt for lyrical years along its soft green banks, losing the flow, the natural course, wild coursing of a great river, comes as a bewildering surprise. You watch, amazed, dazed as the water recedes, then how you begin to devitalize like the earth before you that dries and cracks. Witness the water flowers wither, the birds and fish disappear, taking their bright songs and buoyant gestures with them. Feel a gnawing, dispiriting take hold, a growing emptiness you can't reverse. Experience your once flush, daily quenched feelings of desire, delight wane, drain away like the whole vanishing river. You hang on, try to, for a time, caught in the loss, held in a hard press of longing, disbelieving until the last remaining hope of this dear river's return evaporates. And you gather your parched, puzzled self and depart to seek out a new oasis, a life-giving source of another, even if lesser kind, to flow through the next seasons of your life, to keep your body, your soul, likewise vitally streaming and ever moving, ever dreaming toward the sea. You know, one of the things that the deeper feelings that came as a result of my own losses of relationship were to discover, to realize things that I didn't realize were possible ahead of me as a result. And this poem I wrote, and there's a marvelous, you don't have the image in front of you, but it's of a Japanese pearl diver woman. There were women usually, and there are two of them, and it's a vintage photograph, and it's absolutely incredible, and it heads the poem, called Depth Finder. Going down like a naked pearl diver in a greater breath into jade and sapphire waters, into an undersea of living treasures of the body, heart, soul, showed me how much more deeply I could go inside another, inside myself, how much more deeply I could dive, love, and be loved. You know, I'm mostly reading my own work when we speak, my own creatings, and I felt he would be all right if I read a poem of his tonight. My wonderful favorite, one of my other favorite poets, David White, is actually doing an interesting series this month online. And this is the deep feeling that comes around claiming our truest selves and lives. And I felt we ought to hear this tonight. It's the true love. If you don't know this, it's a marvelous poem. The true love, one word, T-R-U-E, L-O-V-E. There is a faith in loving fiercely the one who is rightfully yours, especially if you have waited years, and especially if part of you never believed you could deserve this loved and beckoning hand held out to you this way. I'm thinking of faith now, and the testaments of loneliness, and what we feel we are worthy of in this world. Years ago in the Hebrides, I remember an old man who walked every morning on the gray stones to the shore of the baying seals, who would press his hat to his chest in the blustering salt wind and say his prayer to the turbulent Jesus hidden in the water. And I think of the story of the storm, and everyone waking and seeing the distant yet familiar figure far across the water calling to them, and how we are all preparing for that abrupt waking and that calling and that moment we have to say yes, except it will not come so grandly, so biblically, but more subtly and intimately in the face of the one you know you have to love. so that when we finally step out of the boat toward them, we find everything holds us and confirms our courage. And if you wanted to drown, you could, but you don't. Because finally, after all the struggle and all the years, you don't want to anymore. You've simply had enough of drowning, and you want to live, and you want to love, and you will walk across any territory and any darkness, however fluid and however dangerous, to take the one hand you know belongs in yours. The true love. Thank you, David White. Thank you very much. As I thought about deeper feeling places, I thought about relationships we've had, especially with our parents, for whatever they were, but some are quite complicated, and mine was with my father. And there were many aspects growing up that were difficult, and as I became an adult, not easy, and I ultimately had to make peace with it, what it was, and find the parts of him that I did love and not get caught up in the rest. That's how I made my peace. And so this was a poem I wrote years after he passed away, called I Loved Him, for my father. For his whimsy, for his wildly vivid memory, surpassing storytelling, for fiercely, if unintrospectively, being his own man, always with great elan, his old-school manliness, laced with a surprising love for masterful music, fine art, dancing, tending roses. The way before the empire he built declined and fell. He'd drink life like Ulysses to the lees, savor the winds and waves of all adventures. These ways I loved him, and the summer days we'd sail the ocean and head of the bay together, father and son, then gentler man and his sunny, salt-haired boy. It was from my father. And I had another father-in-love, I called him, Leonardo. I was married for many years, and he became my best friend in the world. Incredible man. And so deep feelings around honorings of people like him. Out of the ashes, for Leonardo. The ones fired from your bones, the ones reduced to some elemental, irreducible residue of you, the ones returning to your native land, Trojan land, along the Appian Way, vicino a Foggia, as you like to say, that I chose to give to the roots of the olive tree, standing and fruiting so nobly, so anciently in the Mezzogiorno earth of the Masseria, in one silver-green grove of Puglia, so you might join the ripeness of new harvests, that I cast unto the upwelling currents of winter sea, moving and bluing so southernly, off the storied shores of Greeks and Etruscans, Ottomans and Illyrians, to spread your last traces, your stardust, far and wide, feeling and taking license with letting loose my share of your ashes, that out of them, in these ways, nature could be blessed longer with your essence. What about deeper feelings around our unexpressed emotions, our unexpressed selves? Maybe burdens, other things. This is a poem from last spring. To you of hidden heart. Of sad or lonely, longing and deserving heart hidden from view, I hold out a hand to yours. Sense what you cannot say in words or feel easy to show. Offer a gentleness to soften your reticence, a safe harbor for your hiddenness, a place for your heart to enter and freely drop its sometime achingly heavy anchor. In this time of COVID, the coronavirus, and how it's affecting a lot of us, there's a definite forced and chosen and other turning inward to contemplate a lot of things, sometimes very consciously, sometimes in dreams and otherwise. And way before all of this was a period of going inside to gestate, and it's called the hibernaut. The hibernaut burrows away, goes deep inside, slows down their emotional metabolism to enter another state, under the skin, retreat into another rhythm, a hidden rhythm, months to years, however long it takes to discover, cross over to other recesses of the self, often unfindable in the open air or on the outsides of the world's daily doings, its diverting comings and goings, to transition in a much lower modulation of heat, breath, beat of heart, through a freeze-framed change of season, life, weather, then re-emerge, spring out at a right time, a natural knowing time, through sifted layers of stillness, darkness, and chill, into welcoming foyers of liveliness, newness, and thaw, with more freshness and growth, more self-presence and strength. The hibernaut. I felt we definitely needed to hear again from Rainer Maria Rilke. This was a Robert Bly translation of one of his poems about transforming. One of the deepest feeling places we could go to is transformation. And he wrote in this poem, It's possible I am pushing through solid rock in flint-like layers as the ore lies alone. I am such a long way in, I see no way through and no space. Everything is close to my face, and everything close to my face is stone. I don't have much knowledge yet in grief, so this massive darkness makes me small. You may be the master. Make yourself fierce. Break in. Then your great transformating will happen to me, and my great grief cry will happen to you. Back in Nobleboro, Maine, in October, Indian summer, a couple of years back, I had an experience which I think many of us have had or are having or will have. The divine hour, deep feelings around the sacred center of our beings that comes into our consciousness or semi-consciousness. The divine hour. The hour nigh on 3, you're invited to open your eyes from a heavenly rest, to find yourself, feel yourself farthest from your earthly matters and closest to the essence, sacredness that's a fuse inside you, that infuses and inspirits you, and everything seen and unseen. Everyone you know, ever knew, will ever meet. Every place of nature life takes you, every realm your dreams and deepest wonderings may take you from here. This divine hour, this quietly divine and divining hour. I know we've spoken about different aspects of love, heart make, heartbreak, and Neruda. Some of you may know and love also Pablo Neruda. Had these beautiful sonnets, Sonetos de Amor. This is one. And now you're mine. Rest with your dream in my dream. Love and pain and work should all sleep now. The night turns on its invisible wheels, and you are pure beside me as a sleeping amber. No one else, love, will sleep in my dreams. You will go, we will go together over the waters of time. No one else will travel through the shadows with me, only you ever green, ever sun, ever moon. Your hands have already opened their delicate fists and let their soft drifting signs drop away. Your eyes closed like two gray wings, and I move after, following the folding water you carry that carries me away. The night, the world, the wind spin out their destiny. Without you, I am your dream, only that, and that is all. Thank you, Neruda. As we come to a close again this week, this evening, two last pieces, I think two. Around deep presence and connecting with something greater, What is this presence is the title. Also written up in Maine. Very powerful place, very potent place for your poet to be inspired, as is here in Rhode Island. What is this presence? Close around me in the night darkness, in the deep stillness, enfolding me like a lover with such tenderness, like a mother with such benevolence. Is it the presence of the land and water I lie above? Is it a soft, silent angel revealing its protecting wings? Or my own spirit, my anima, holding me so transcendently and showing me I'm really a body inside a breathing soul? Right. The last ones, actually there's three short ones. We're running over a few minutes. Hope we're all right with that. Heart and root. By heart and root is how, however unseen by others or in our own mirrors, we move, want to move, can move through the world, through the days, the dances of life, love, work, wondering, with our hearts wildly open, reaching up into the light, with our roots wildly free, reaching down into our earths, to all the places where we're deeply touched and nourished, where we can grow into our fullness, soothe our sorrows, heal our woundedness, where we can flow with such great aliveness. Derek Walcott wrote an amazing poem I've read so many times and shared with so many friends and others. So fitting to me for tonight. And then one last one of mine. He wrote this poem called Love After Love. The time will come when, with elation, you will greet yourself, arriving at your own door in your own mirror. And each will smile at the other's welcome, saying, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to the stranger who has loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit, feast on your life. Thank you, Derek Walcott. And our last piece tonight is a reminder, I suppose, of where we can go with our feelings, our deepest, truest, most beautiful, if not always easy, but beautiful in their way, feelings. The heart is a remarkable thing. It can become sick over many things, over loss of faith or fortune, death of a loved one, dreams deferred, disappointments or disbeliefs, seeing suffering. Then somehow, often miraculously, heal, learn to reopen, sing, feel joy again. Thank you for listening and for your most welcome donations by PayPal and Venmo. that help support these programs and poetic arts, but especially my thanks for your enthusiasm. Replays of all the broadcasts are online to share or hear another time. I hope you'll lean in again. Until then, good days ahead, deeper feeling days ahead, and good spirits.